I said I would be interning this summer. I'm not currently interning, so I'm still in my first year. A little bit of yeah. Hi everyone.
Awesome. Welcome. Quick question. Why William and Mary? Why Raymond Mason School of Business?
Okay, so when I decided to go for an MBA, I actually applied to 10 schools. I was trying to leverage opportunities and pick a school that would give me enough funding to study. But something stood out with William and Mary, their reach out and their community was very intense. And I kind of liked the conversations I had with the admissions committee. And of course, I got the most scholarship opportunity at William and Mary. So
you joined. Interesting. Yeah. So maybe we'll come back to that. Let me just go around with the other guests. Martha is a master's student currently undergoing an interdisciplinary telecom program. Before that, she was a participant of the mini MBA program at Bagels Business School, which I attended also. It's funny because we were classmates at some point. It's interesting. And she previously interned at Facebook. And now she is currently an intern at LinkedIn. And she is currently the site reliability engineer at that platform. So why, Martha, are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah. So over to you. We attended the mini MBA program together a couple of years ago. I think that was 2016.
Yeah.
And after that experience, I think you would go for an MBA program. Why did you go for an MSc program instead?
Well, I had to search myself. In fact, it was a hard decision to make. The first year I wanted to apply to the US, I was considering an MBA or an MSBA program. But there's just something in me that I really wanted to focus on engineering. And I don't know, for some time I worked with a startup in Ayabakon Valley. And then the way things went, I just knew that wasn't meant for me. I would excel more if I focus on engineering. So I switched career path back to my engineering focus.
Oh, okay. That's great. Thank you for joining us here today. We will still come back to you with a lot of questions. The next guest is Tolu. Tolu is currently an MBA, not currently an MBA graduate, an MBA candidate. Instead, Tolu is an MBA graduate of the Kenan-Flager Business School of the University of North Carolina. He was previously at KPMG and currently works as the Senior Financial Analyst at the Christie company in New York. Hi, Tolu. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm sure we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I just want to apologize ahead of time. I've been dealing with cold and flu symptoms. So if you hear any coughing, I'm really sorry. I just wanted to put that out there.
Oh, that's fine. Hope you're safe, because I know there's something on the mind of everybody right now.
I am.
You can't just cough in this time.
Yeah, that's why I needed to issue that disclaimer ahead of time,
All right, I understand. Thank you so much for joining us today. One quick question.
Sure.
You currently work in New York.
Yes,
at the Christie company. How did you get your job?
It's funny. I know you mentioned talk about community. So it's the Christie company. It's a startup that does social impact financing in Africa. We finance infrastructure projects on the continent, but we're based in New York City. So I actually found it because the founder of the company went to Yale, and she reached out to an acquaintance that is in the Yale Africa Business Club. And then the person reached out to me. I also interned there. So I interned in 2018, and then I came back there after finishing my MBA. So then the acquaintance reached out to my own friend, my own very close friend that also went to Yale. And then the person reached out to me and say, hey, you're African. This person chose someone that is African. And it's funny because going into business school, I was trying to move away from finance, do something more of I'm basically looking at the digital consulting practices for BCG and McKinsey. Those were like my major focus, and those were like the interviews I had. I think sadly I didn't get any of those two. And then when she reached out, okay, I spoke to her by the phone, I interviewed, and I mean the work we are doing, it's kind of like, it's interesting. It's frustrating at times because raising money in Africa is a bummer, but yeah, so yeah, you're right. It's like it's basically like a community network outreach through the Africa Business Club. Yeah.
That's interesting. Thank you very much for delving into that. I'm going to start with Feranmi, and if Marta or Tolu has something to say about the questions I direct at Feranmi, if we have any questions or any comments with respect to that, please feel free to jump in and add what you have to say with respect to that. This is the way we decided to break it. Feranmi would be handling everything that has to do with applying and acquiring loan. That does not mean the other guests cannot shed light into their own experience as well if they feel it will add value to the webinar. Marta would focus on what it's like to be a student and be thinking about to repay back a loan while in school. And Tolu would focus heavily on what it looks like paying back your loan after you graduate. Now, that said, Feranmi, over to you. Please, what exactly is Prodigy Finance and how did you get to know about it?
Okay, so Prodigy Finance is a UK organization that focuses more on sponsoring international students in the US and in Canada to fund their education. They basically focus on international students across the globe, and they basically take care of your probably first year, second year, or number of years degree in the US and in Canada. And one thing you should bear in mind is that they give loans to only selected schools in the US and in Canada because their focus is ensuring that these people that we are trying to like fund their education, they are able to like repay back our loan. So their focus is like, I think, top 100 schools in the US and some select, I'm not sure about the number of schools in Canada, but they focus more on giving funding to top schools in the US and in Canada.
Interesting. So what that means basically is before you think of applying to a school, and you know there's a possibility you might take up a loan, it's just best to check if that school is being funded by Prodigy Finance.
Yeah, once you want to go for an MBA program, it's very good to like check that your school is one of the top schools in the United States or in Canada, because it gives you a lot of opportunities. Peradventure, you don't get the funding, the required funding from the school that you want, or you're not company sponsored, you can also explore the opportunities.
Thank you exactly for that. So how did you then, what was the application process like for you? What was the experience like?
Okay, so for me, after I had gotten my admission and I realized that even with the amount of scholarship that I got, I still needed funding like for my living expenses and a few other things. I reached out to my school asking them for more scholarship, and they're like, we've exhausted. I did my application like very, very late, and had already exhausted all scholarship opportunities in the school. So the school actually introduced me to Prodigy Finance, and I reached out to them. So one very good thing about Prodigy Finance is that like the process is so seamless. You apply online, everything is online, although they need to verify everything you're presenting to them, but you don't need a collateral to apply for a loan. So you just go online, check if your school is one of the schools that they give funding to, and then you start your application process online. So you start and finish everything online. You don't come in contact with anybody. You don't speak to anybody. Everything is just online. So it's really, really seamless.
That's interesting, because we know what it's like to even borrow 100K from a bank. You have to compile list of documents, proof collateral, and all that. So it's pretty much interesting. I personally also went through the process, and I can attest to the fact that it is seamless. But that said, I know there are people who have also tried to apply, but have been denied. What would you advise these people to do?
In order not to be denied.
Yeah,
Sincerely.
in order not to be denied and after the denial.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe I should consider myself lucky because I really didn't do anything special. I just did the application process like every other person, ensured that I submitted authenticated documents. And one thing is that they check for your credit, hold on, let me get the name. They check for your credit reports in Nigeria using your BVN. So I think if you have a good credit profile in Nigeria or in any country that you're applying from, it's kind of like boosts your ability to get a loan. But I don't think I did anything special to get the loan. I don't really think I did anything special. I just applied and I got the loan. Then peradventure you apply and you are denied. There are other opportunities. I know that there is Empower that also gives funding to international students. Then other options you could explore include getting loan from, for example, in the US, some US banks or some US loan, whatever. They are basic, but the only thing about those US banks, for example, I have a friend that got a loan from Discover Bank. It was seamless. He said he got the loan within 5 days, but the only difference is that you need a co-signer, somebody who is a US citizen, to attest to the fact that you are getting a loan. But the person doesn't have to be responsible for repayment of the loan. So you just basically look for someone who is a US citizen, who is willing to attest to the fact that he or she knows you and you're a good enough candidate to give a loan to.
Thank you. Thank you very much for explaining that. So what exactly does Prodigy Finance fund? I know there are talks about they not funding living expenses. How does that operate? Do they focus on tuition alone or they cover your living expenses?
They fund everything. So for me, it was addition of both tuition and living expenses. So the process is like this. They already know the amount that you'll be needing to fund your education, both first year and second year. And the amount probably on the school website includes living expenses and every other expenses that you would need to fund your education. So like the process is, when you give them your proof of admission, they bring out the total amount there. Then you give them your proof of scholarship. Then you submit your proof of probably additional fund that you have, maybe in your bank account that you think would be necessary to fund your study. Then you also give them your proof of, probably you have somebody that wants to sponsor you. The person would have to write a letter saying that I'm supporting this person with so amounts and give to them. Then the person's evidence of that amount in probably an investment bank or in a statement of account showing that the person has sufficient fund. So they give you the balance. So this includes both living expenses, every other expense, even travel expenses or every other expenses. And note that living expenses that are on the school website is estimated. Most times you don't spend up to the amount that is written on the school website. So you definitely have, definitely have enough fund to run every other thing if you get the total amount that you need.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I move on to...
this is Tolu. I just wanted to add something to what she said. I think the whole issue about them not covering living expenses is kind of because what Prodigy does is it actually varies on a school by school basis. They have like limits that they cover for each school. For example, for UNC, Kenan-Flager, they cover up to I think 75% of your total cost of attendance, which includes like living expenses, books, like tuition, everything. For some schools, I know my friends that went to Yale, Prodigy covers up to like 90%. So it kind of like varies on a school by school basis. If they have a limit for your school, then as she said, the balance of the funds will need to come either from you or from the sponsor or from your parents, and you have to give them evidence that you're able to cover that balance.
Okay. Thank you very much for
Yeah,
coming in
I
to
also
say
would
that.
like to add to what Tolu has said on checking if your school is supported. So I had a friend who got admission from University of Maryland Smith Business School. His school was
Okay.
supported on Prodigy's platform, but Maryland Smith Business School doesn't accept Prodigy loan letter. So before you go about processing Prodigy's loan, you have to confirm that your school accepts their loan before going ahead with that, because there are some schools that are supported on their platform, but the school themselves don't even take that as a proof of funding when you submit those documentation to them. So make sure you confirm that, oh, your school supports this, even if it is supported on Prodigy platform. And then if your school is not on the platform, for me though, it was an MS program, it wasn't on Prodigy's platform. I had to pitch my school and the opportunities after grad to guarantee ROI for them before they added my school. So my school wasn't on the, my program, sorry, my school was on the platform, but my program wasn't on the platform. And I had to.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes if you have a case like that and you have alumni who are in places that like a Fortune 500 company, a place that is well recognized, you can pitch that to Prodigy and then they will assess to see if they can extend the loan to you. So that was my case. But most importantly, verify that your school actually accepts Prodigy proof of funding before you go ahead with the application.
Hi everyone, I'm Raji here. Sorry, I think Sam is experiencing some issues with his network. Let's give him a minute or two, please.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we
Amarachi, am I clear?
Yeah,
okay, thank you very much for that. I was saying this is going to end in 8 minutes. It's going to break in 8 minutes because of Zoom's 40 minutes limit. So once this break, please log in back using the same URL and the password that you have as well. So if that breaks up, just log in quickly as fast as you can. My question goes to Martha. Martha, I know there are some countries where there are issues with application. When I say application, visa application, where some countries have actually denied visas to people because to an extent they may not know what Prodigy Finance is. Did you experience anything like that? And what do you advise these people to do?
I can only speak for Nigeria, and yeah, I had a friend who went with Prodigy Finance we have two embassies, right? The Lagos embassy and the Abuja embassy. And it was seamless. In fact, it became a practice for some persons to just go ahead with like Prodigy Fund, because you getting your loan letter doesn't mean, oh, you already have the loan. You become responsible for the loan after you sign. So there's like a very common practice for people to go ahead with Prodigy process, get the loan letter and use it, because it's something that is well recognized in our embassy.
Okay. Tolu, any question? And since considering you did your MBA, you applied 2-3 years ago.
No, I mean, for me, I also did not have like any issues. I did my interview in Lagos. I remember the embassy official asking me, so what is Prodigy? And I basically just explained. It's like I said, it's it's a UK organization that sponsors international students for MBA and master's programs. And yeah, she said, okay, I didn't think that that was really like a factor in the interview. I think once you can basically explain and once you have the documentation, I think it's fine. Yeah.
Thank you
And
for that.
I want to add
Go on.
something. If you get denied, don't hesitate to reapply, because I was denied the first time I applied for my visa interview. I did my visa interview in Lagos and I was denied funding and every other thing inclusive, and I reapplied and I got it. So regardless, whatever happens, just reapply.
That's interesting. What did you do? What magic did you concoct to get them to approve?
I didn't do anything special. Okay, for the first interview, I did my interview in Lagos, and the lady was so mean. You know, like the problems we have with all these our interviewers. Like she was so mean. She's like, "Oh, the funding." She just said, like, she didn't even ask me any question or say anything. She just denied the
She didn't just like your face or what she wore
like
that day.
I don't even know. Maybe she was not even in the good mood or something, and she just denied my application. So I knew I had worked hard and I knew I wasn't going to give up. So I reapplied, but I chose Abuja this time. And the second person that interviewed, and the guy that interviewed was like really nice. Oh, you're getting a loan from Prodigy, blah, blah, blah. And it was really, really nice. So
yeah. So someone was asking a question related to what you just said.
I'm gonna say one more thing. Like,
right on.
I know she reapplied to Abuja, but you don't need to reapply to Abuja. Like, I know friends that reapplied in Lagos. Like, I know if.
Yeah, so back to what I was saying, most importantly for me is just seeing how I can get as many opportunities to negotiate my offers and just get the best so that I can meet my own repayment plans, because I know they give you, I think, 10 years, 13 years to repay and all that, but some of us, we want to work with something shorter than that. So, yeah.
Martha, we'll come back to that. You'll give us more details on that if you don't mind. But I want Tolu to break down the structure of the loan, if you don't mind. People are asking, what's the payment plan? How does the loan operate? How is it different from the regular plan? Can you just delve into that, please? And
okay, sure.
Have mercy on us. Break it down in layman terms. I know you're a finance guy, but explain to us.
Basically, so because it's a private institution that's giving you the loan, the interest rate is obviously more than what you get from like public or like government loans, like compared to like my friends that took government loans here in the US. So definitely I would say the interest rate is a bit high. What they use, it's kind of like a variable rate. There's a fixed portion of the interest. For me, it was about 6.5%. And there's a variable portion of the interest, which is pegged to LIBOR. Again, I don't want to get too technical. That's the London Interbank offered rate. It's like the rate that the UK Treasury sets for lending. So that is like the variable component that varies on a day-to-day basis. So on average, I would say your like average annual APR would be something around 9%, which is, I mean, that's quite expensive, right? Other government loans in the US are about 4 to 5%. So yes, it's definitely expensive taking a loan from a private institution. But the truth about it is, at the end of the day, and as you said, as Feranmi said, like if you are African, if you are Nigerian, you know, this idea of like credit and loans is not really something you are used to, right? But coming here and seeing that like it's basically like a credit-driven economy, right? And as long as you have like a good steady job, and I say like having like a plan, like that's the most important thing, like having a plan for like how you want to like pay and settle all your loan obligations. Because the truth is, especially if you want to settle in the US for long term, you still have other liabilities. If you want to buy a house, you get like a 30-year mortgage. I mean, so it's like in this Korea, you take credit card debt. Like you can't exist in this country without credit. Like, and it's it's the truth. Like, yeah, like in this country, you have to do things for at some point you have to build a credit history for yourself, right? And that involves like taking out credit facilities and all that. But regardless, you must have a plan, as Feranmi said. So yeah, it's about a 9% interest rate. They give you a moratorium, say 6 months after graduation, you don't have to pay anything. Actually, it's funny because they say 6 months, but it's technically more like 5 months because most schools finish up around May, and your first payment is due in October. So yes, you have to start paying by October. Obviously, throughout while you're in school, throughout while you're in school, the interest obviously accrues, but your actual repayment starts like 5 months after graduation. So for me, like, and it's funny, like they send you like mails and everything, like how much you owe, how much you're supposed to pay every month. But they actually have an app. So there's actually like a Prodigy Finance app which I have on my phone. So that's
Okay.
I use to like schedule my payments. It's kind of like very straightforward. And the way it works is if you take like a loan for your first year and a loan for your second year, they are treated as like two distinct loans. So for me, in my case, it's actually even funny. I think now Prodigy has kind of like changed the way their loans kind of work. My first year loan was a 20-year loan, second was a 25-year loan, but now
Okay.
I don't even think Prodigy gives that long of a period for loans, especially to like Nigerians or Africans, because even my friends that took after me were like 15 years the maximum. So mine was so yeah, I have two loans that basically act like there are two distinct loans. In Prodigy's books is like they gave these loans to two different people, but I mean,
That's interesting
oh
because I
yeah,
know it's funny because you're taking a loan, you're the same person, but that year when you get to your second year, you have to start all over again.
yes. I would say it's kind of like start all over again, but it's not really start all over again in the sense that they already have like they already have initial document you used for your first application, right? So
Yeah.
they don't really ask for like any of those documents again. The only thing that Prodigy ends up asking for in your second year is if you say you are covering a portion. So like they'll ask you in this second year, so that's basically what second year issue is like this second year, how much do you want to take, right? How much is Prodigy going to give you? And if you're covering a portion by yourself, how much would that be? So for me, like, yeah, I mean, like a lot of my savings working in Nigeria was part of what I service my loans. My parents like covered like a part. So yeah, I had to provide all those documentation because in the first year, sure, I said I had this money, right? They've seen it. So your second year as well, the portion that you say you have, they need to see it as well, right? So that was like the only major new thing that Prodigy asked me in my second year. It's like, okay, hey, we are here again, how much do you want? How much should we give you? And the portion that you say you have, give us evidence of it. So that was basically the only thing that I was asked for my second year application. But yeah, they are basically even if I log into my portal now, they have like two different like loan agreements. There are two distinct loans. But for like payments, you can make your monthly payments as one, which is what I do. Yeah, through the app, you can just schedule it as like a single payment, and it's like you do like a direct debit just straight to my bank account, and they take it. You can actually through the app, you can even like do like scheduling to say, hey, on the 25th of every month, just take out this money from my account, and yes, there's no penalty for overpaying. Like even if they say, for example, this month you owe $800, you can pay 1,500. Like again, there's no penalty for early repayment. So for me, payment
Okay.
has been flexible. I've not had any reason to reach out to Prodigy at any point in time since I left school about any issues. Nope. Since I've never had any issues to like reach out to them or have any communication with them. Like everything has been pretty straightforward. But yeah, I would say, I mean, generally speaking, it's quite an expensive loan, but if the truth about it is, if you have like I should say like having like a good job where you make like, I mean, a decent money here in the US, you will be fine. Again, like having your financial priorities set straight, because that is really really important. Like in this country, you really can't get off the rails so easily. So yeah, I think it's
So
pretty.
financial discipline is very crucial when
Oh
you're
yeah,
taking this loan.
it is, and it's not even because of the loan itself, but just because of like other responsibilities that might come up with. I mean, you think, oh, I have an MBA, I'm making six figures, yeah, I can go out and but you're like, nope, Prodigy is still there, right? Yeah, you really can't afford to do that, and especially if you want to pay off your loans earlier than expected, because I mean, the way loans work, right? For example, now if you stick to like the payment plan now, okay, yeah, I'll pay people like 20 years, but I mean, I want to be done with that before then, right? So I have to like pay extra than what I'm supposed to pay. So like all those things really come into play, and yeah, you just have to be smart about it. But I don't think you really should worry about it. I think people worry about it more from the cultural perspective of Africans loans. But yeah, as if you have a good financial plan and everything, yeah, I think you will be fine. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get back to you on the penalty for repayment, because I've
Oh,
had
sure.
reports of people talking about that. But
Yeah,
before
sure.
that, I just want to come back to Feranmi. Abisola is asking, how much should you have at a minimum in cash to apply to Prodigy?
As the minimum in cash.
Yeah.
Like Tolu said, you really don't. You need to like work with them to know the amount they are sponsoring for your school. So
Yeah, but
from
you know, when you're applying, they're going to ask you questions about how much do you have in your
you can
savings.
you can state any amount that you have. It's just to reduce the amount that they are going to give you. So they have like this budget on their website. They are going to put the total amount that is available for funding and deduct scholarships, deduct the amounts that you have, and the balance is what they are going to give you. So any
So
amount.
if I'm hearing you clearly, sorry to interrupt you. If I'm hearing you clearly, what you're saying is try as much as possible to limit the amount of money you're getting, either by getting more scholarship or having family and friends put their money, family basically support you, or you have money in your account.
Yeah, if you have money, why do you want to like get much loan? You don't want to indebt yourself so much. And we are conservative. We are Nigerians. So if you have like funding, maybe to take care of your living expenses, you can try as much as possible to reduce your loan if you have, because you need to present evidence of having that fund.
So
Some
if okay, you were saying something.
sometimes you might not get maybe an on-campus job before you leave Nigeria, but as soon as you get here, there are opportunities to get on-campus jobs, and you feel like, oh, I can take care of my living expenses. You might as well take more loan in your first year, and once you see that you can take care of your living expenses in the second year, you reduce your.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it
Does
depends.
matter? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Martha, do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, so I agree with Feranmi just said, but though not the best way to go about it, except you are very sure of yourself. You know, we mentioned the living expense estimate. So let's assume for a school, they give you an estimate of $20,000 per year as your living expense. You also want to do the maths, like inquire and know what the actual living expense would be for you. Let's say that comes down to about $15,000 plus or minus, plus 20% of whatever the actual estimate is. You mark it up by 20 or 30%. You don't really need 20,000, right? So instead of getting all that from Prodigy, if you can by any means show support, so you can by any means show support for what you have left, like the $5,000 that you don't actually need, then it's best to show support and reduce whatever you are getting from Prodigy.
Let me just
Because
ask you a question, a follow-up question on that. Who can provide support? A letter of support stating that, okay, yeah, they'll support you with this substantial amount of, even though in actuality, in reality, you don't need that money.
Need that. Okay, so family member, but doesn't have to be related. So it could be a family friend, as long as they can explain their relationship. So there's this form where they have to fill stating their relationship with you and all that. So, and if you are going to show support for $5,000, you have to come with more than that, significant, like maybe $7,000, $8,000 or $10,000. You don't say, oh, this person is going to support me with $5,000, and you come with proof of exactly $5,000. That's, I don't think it gets approved that way. It has to be more than sufficient required funds and all that. So it could be a family member. All they just have to fill on that form is a relationship with you, and I think it gets passed.
Thank you very much for that. Feranmi, back again at you. So what were some of the shocks or surprises that you had with they all Prodigy Finance that you didn't know about until you joined the program, or you didn't pay attention to until you joined your program?
What do you mean shock support? Like, I really don't understand. Shock in a good way, or I don't understand.
Shock in both good or bad way.
Okay, so
Yeah.
for me, my experience with Prodigy is like very seamless. I didn't have to like do anything even up till now, I don't have to do anything. They send the funding to your school, and they kind of like plan with your school. Then they send the funding to your school directly. Any portion that is needed for living expenses is sent to your account after the school deducts the balance of whatever is needed for tuition. So with Prodigy, I don't think I've had like any shock, like any negative shock, I don't know. I don't think I've
Any
had
positive one?
Positive is I don't have to think about tuition. I don't have to think about I don't have to think about the exchange rates in Nigeria, like, oh, it's climbing, it's doing this and that, like that's yeah.
Tolu, you want to say something about that? Hey, your own answer to that question.
I mean, for me, yeah, I mean, throughout while I was in school, I wouldn't say like I had any shock or anything. I mean, I kind of like knew what I was getting into, like coming out of my MBA program. But it's just like, you know, when you are done, like, yeah, at some point, even with all the financial planning, like, you know, it's just, I wouldn't call it a shock. It's just every month when you pay that money, you just wish, oh, I wish I didn't have to pay this. But oh, this is money that will go a long way in my personal life. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of understand like the money got you something, which is like a good degree, which you're using to better yourself. So yeah, for me, when people ask me, oh, should I take loans for my MBA? I tell people like it's a personal decision, because like I had friends that got like admissions from like top 10 business schools, but because there was no scholarship, they went to like a lesser ranked business school and they are doing fine. You get like they got a good job. They're making almost as much as someone that went to a top 10 business school. And I know people that did the opposite, right? They got admissions from like lower ranked schools, but they said, no, I want to go to Yale. And yeah, that's take like the full like money from Prodigy. So like it's personal, right? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but just having a financial plan, getting a good job, and yeah, I think you will be fine. But yeah, I mean, every month that money leaving your account, yeah, it's
and I want to ask a question. I want to ask a question around that, because you're taking salary, and I'm directing this question to Martha, who's experienced our internship. What percentage on the average of your salary, monthly salary, do you dedicate to Prodigy?
So is this for me or Tolu?
Yeah, it's for both of you. Anyone who wants to go first. Tolu?
Okay. I mean, so if I say what percentage of my salary, I think I should use net, because if I use gross, that can be very misleading. So like I live in New York, which the tax rate here is insane. Anyway, on a net basis, let me actually try to be exact. I actually try not to think about it, but I want to be as honest as possible. So let me actually think about it. Oh yeah, I'm serious. I would say, okay, I would say about 25% on a net basis.
You said?
About 24% on a net basis.
24% on a net basis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Martha.
Because, yeah, I'm trying to pay.
Oh, yeah. Tolu, continue.
Yes, yeah. So I pay like on average 24% of my net take home pay goes to Prodigy. Yeah. I just kind of say, you know what, you can have all this money for now. Yeah.
So what you're basically doing is you're just trying, you understand you want to quickly pay back as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So you're willing to take the eat right now just to make sure that that's over, and then you can now channel your resources into other things you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, so the amount I'm actually supposed to be paying is about 20%. So it's not like I'm really paying a lot extra. I'm paying just 5% extra. And to be fair, that kind of like varies on a month-by-month basis. I mean, I've had months where I'm like, I think I've had a couple of months where I'm like, just take your 20% and go. You get, I mean, that I say like when I talk about financial discipline, I mean, it works even for me, because there have been some months where I'm like, you know what, this month, let me, I want to do something else with this extra, right? So yeah, but I try to do that 25%. But I think the minimum I should be paying is about 20% of my net take home pay. And that's basically because tax in New York takes a lot of my, so.
Do you mind if I just ask a question about the average there in terms of tax?
So so because New York is one of those states where you also pay state tax. So in the US, there are states where you pay just federal tax, there's not state tax. But New York actually pays state and local taxes. So on average, actually, 33% of my gross paycheck goes to taxes, which is ridiculous. But yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy. That's 1/3.
Yeah, 1/3 of my total gross paycheck goes to taxes. Like that's like federal, state, and like local New York City. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay. Was it Feranmi or Marta that was going to say something before?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can go ahead, Feranmi.
Go ahead. Like Martha said, I think everything is based on like financial planning. So I have a friend that actually took out a loan, and you're taking a loan. You're going into like a very it's a very tough decision, and you want to, as much as possible, maximize every opportunity that you get. So like in terms of repaying your loan, I think if you plan very well and maybe get a very good opportunity here in the US, you'll be able to like repay. So I have a friend who took out the loan, and upon graduation, she got a very good opportunity, and her sign-on bonus alone was able to repay at least 50% of our loan. So if you have like a very good opportunity and a very good financial plan, you just want to decide that, okay, for the next 1 or 2 years after graduation, I'm still a student, so I'm still living a student life. I just want to like repay this loan back and get back to my normal life. So yeah.
Yeah, so to add to that, that is currently my own situation right now. I mean, it's all about planning and maximizing the offers I'm getting. So you come here with a plan, right? Maximize your offers. What I've been able to do in my own situation is I had an offer after my internship, but it wasn't, looking at how quickly I wanted to pay my loan, it wasn't working for me. So what I did was work hard, got another offer, negotiated with that, and because it was also like a very great offer, I was able to negotiate some things. Instead of more stocks or more base, I was going more for my sign-on bonus, because I know, I will get that immediately and I can just put that on my loan, right, to reduce what I will be paying on my timeline. So yeah, it's very important to plan. And on percentage and all, like Tolu said, some states here, New York is just like California, very high tax rate and all that. You put 33% of your paycheck to tax. You have like 65%. The cost of living, the cost of rent, not cost of living, is about 15 to 20% of what is left of that 25. No, exactly 20 to 15% of what you have in 65%. You have like 45% left or 40%, and then you put like 24% of that or 20% of that just to meet your minimum payment in your loan. So before you take a loan, you have to really sit down and think. If you can press, like there's this you can speak to like the departments in your schools, just keep pressing them to give you more scholarship, or that. Please do that. And even after coming here, like for me, I came here with a partial scholarship, and my second year I just wrote back to my school financial aid office, ISS, and told them I need more scholarship. So there are some things you can do. Apply for.
Did they give you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get what I requested for, but I got an amount that reduced my loan application my second year significantly. So if you can do that, and then
just as a quick aside, I think this one is just like general advice. Doesn't even just, it's not really about the loans, but just as she said, like just asking for stuff. Like I didn't really know how, like in this country, like people just ask for things. Like, yeah, you want extra, like you can always ask. Like the worst the worst they can say is like no, right? It's like ask for like extra sign-on bonus when you get a job offer. Don't just accept what they give you. Like even if you're in school, you can like, and that's the thing. Like as she said, in school there are so many opportunities of like making extra money. Like there's always something to do, right? So just talk to people, ask, and things always that's definitely actually very important.
If you guys don't mind, I also don't mind on my end. I wanted to share a screen of my one of my loans, my first year loan, the fees rate Tolu talked about for some schools. So from what I have heard so far from friends, it depends on your school. So I know that those highly ranked schools, they have a very low marginal rate compared to like top 10, top 20, top 30, top 40, the marginal rate increases, but not like a huge factor. It could be like 5.5 for like Harvard, or below 6.0 for like top 10, and then 6.5. So for my school, it is 7.4. And then this is like the variable rates and all. So this was $36,000 I took in 2018, 4th of August. That was when I took this loan, and this is my astounding balance. I think there's like an administration fee of $1,000 that was added. So if you remove that, I think it has accrued that's 37, let's say close to $5,000 in interest. So when you look at this, I have 16 years to settle this loan. If I decide to make a one-off payment of, let's say, $12,000, my sign-on bonus, this is the interest rate that I was going to pay over 16 years, but this is the new interest rate with a one-off payment. My interest rate has been reduced to $27,000.
So are you saying in addition to $12,000, you still have to pay $27,000?
So this $12,000 is me looking at, my sign-on bonus. Instead of spending and enjoying my sign-on bonus, I want to put it towards my loan. So this has nothing to do with my monthly payment. So these are just like strategies you can use to really make yourself like go for the best out there. If you have a loan, I mean, you don't have to have a loan to go for the best out there. But like when you have multiple job offers and you're negotiating, if you have a loan, there are some things you really need, like you need cash immediately. While stocks might appreciate and all that, sometimes it takes a year for the stocks to vest before you get that. If you get a good sign-on bonus, you can just put it towards your loan. So this is me saying, okay, I'm putting $12,000 of my sign-on bonus on my loan.
So what this means is you still have a period of 16 years to settle your loan.
I still have
but you have a lesser amount of money to pay over that period of time.
Over that period,
which is now approximately $28,000 as against $39,000.
Yeah, of interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I decide to put, let's assume, let me give like 1,500, which is like 20% of my paycheck, or sorry, which is like 15% of my paycheck. See the time I saved in paying off my loan. So I'm able to pay my loan in 2 years.
Oh, is there a limit as to how can you pay at once? Like once you graduate and you just try. I know realistically you have to pay tax, you have to leave, so that amount of money you can put aside.
At any point, even before you graduate, if you have like a lump sum that you can just throw out your loan, do that. I mean, like Tolu mentioned, overpayment is allowed. There's nothing wrong with overpayment or paying before your first due date. So you can make an
This is the first time I'm hearing this, because as a report I read on Quora, which is one of the reasons why I said, you know what, it's important to get the Nigerian perspective on this. A lady was really berating Prodigy Finance, saying they made it difficult for her to pay back her loan at once. And once she said she wanted to pay at once, the interest rate was incredibly high. But what I'm getting now is that's not the case.
No. So I won't say that, because she is speaking from experience. I am speaking from what I've been told on their platform and via mails. But I know of people who I don't know if people have tried to pay it one time. I think most loan bodies are not really for it, because then they don't get to make, there's no return on investment for them, right? So they kind of make it harder for you to do that. But I know, like Tolu said, overpayment is allowed, but overpayment is allowed, putting like a certain amount, like this one-off payment amount. But when you try to pay it, or I don't know how that works. And I also know, I'm aware from a friend who went to Duke and is currently paying his loan. Sometimes there's a certain limit to the one-time payments that they are friendly with. So that is not to say they won't accept it, but there's just like a back and forth. You go with them before they accept that one-off payment. Like if I decide to pay a one-off payment of $36,000, I'm reducing what they are making over time. So on their own books, that doesn't really make much sense for them, right? So I know that sometimes they might not just, they may not agree to that. They may not, they may not agree to that, and that is not them telling you. They may not apply it rightly on your account. So that could be that lady's problem with Prodigy and all. So yeah.
I mean, personally speaking, from my own perspective, like what I advise people to do is I advise like overpaying on a monthly basis, rather than paying like lump up sums. Even from like the financial perspective, right? Number one, overpaying on a monthly basis helps you save time. Like you can see the calculation, like even if you pay the 12K, you are saving some interest, but you're still paying, like you are paying a lower amount for the 16 years and you're saving some interest. But if you are constant with your overpayments, right, you end up saving more interest and you end up reducing your time. So I actually never tried to do the one-off payments. So I really can't speak to the woman's perspective. But yeah, like the overpayment on a monthly basis is what I tell people. And even just from like a time value of money kind of perspective, like if you have 12K, I mean, you can put that money in bonds and stock and make some. That's just me though. Like, I mean, people have
and then use the interest to pay.
Like, people have different
that makes a lot of
on this thing.
Yeah,
but I tell people, for me,
but when you want to do that, like I agree with what you are saying, Tolu. But when you want to do that, at the end
there's
of the
no
day,
way you can make. I agree.
You have to look at this.
I agree. Oh, I agree. I definitely agree with
we don't understand what guys are saying.
Also, what we are saying is when you make an investment, like you have to look at the return. If what you are getting is less than what you are paying here as your combined rate, then it doesn't make sense to, like, looking at the time value of money, right? It's best to lessen this burden of what you incur every month that comes back to you, like the negative balance and the positive balance from your investments. When you look at that, if it doesn't even out significantly, then it makes more sense to just pay off your loans.
Permit me to interrupt you there and just say this to everyone. If you are taking a loan, it's important you understand all these terms. You can't say you don't know maths or you're not interested in maths and you're taking out a loan. So can you speak about that? We have about 4 minutes before this ends. When we do come back, sorry, before you take, please, a minute. When we do come back, we want to talk about the impact of this COVID-19 on Prodigy Finance and payment plan. This is 1 hour. We're exactly on a 1 hour dot. And if you don't mind, we're taking about 15 to 20 minutes. Covering COVID. The other question we want to sort out is around other financing options and challenges. So we're taking about 20 minutes to take more questions, 20 to 30 minutes to take more questions. If you have any other thing to do right now, please feel free to go. But if you think you can stay back, once this logs you out, and I'm hoping I'm pleading on our behalf to the guests to just spare with us that 20, 30 minutes to sort this out. But once this log out, we're at 3 minutes, please log in immediately using the same password. That's the only way we can get to speak and cover this once and for all. So Tolu, you were saying something.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, for example, the reason why as you can see from the screenshots that she was sharing, the base rate was about 1.88%, and that is because of COVID, right? The UK Treasury has cut the LIBOR rate. As at late last year, it was about, I think, 2.7. So I mean, as much as COVID is terrible, you could say at least from that perspective, there's like a, I wouldn't call it like a silver lining, but because interest rates have generally been slashed, so the base rate has actually gone down. So yes, you'll be paying like a smaller percentage on your loans, just because I mean
Okay,
yeah.
I think I'm not getting this straight. So you're saying, so COVID has happened.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve has cut interest rates.
Yeah.
Your interest rate is split into two: the
Yeah.
fixed and variable parts.
Yes.
The fixed is the largest part of the interest you're paying back.
Oh yeah, sure. Yep.
The variable rate is the lowest, the lower of both option. Now you're saying because the Federal Reserve has cut interest rate, the base interest rate has fallen.
Yeah, which is the smaller one has fallen. Yeah. So as you can see, that was shown as at 1.88.
If you want me to reshare,
can
I can
you share that.
Yes,
please.
Yeah, please unshare on your end.
Okay.
So yeah, on average, the LIBOR rate is usually about 2.5%, 2.6% on average. As you can see there, it is 1.88%. I actually even think now, I think in the last few days might even be lower than that. So yeah. I'm saying that you can see that.
So, if you don't mind, sorry, I'm not going to cut you. I usually have like 10.2, 10.11 on an average. And in the last 2 months, it's been a little below 10, and
so maybe now's the time to overpay a month.
So exactly that. And I think one more thing about Prodigy specifically is Prodigy now has introduced, I wouldn't say introduced, they want to start giving you the option of refinancing your loans. So in the US, you can refinance your loan. Basically, refinancing your loan is saying you can get a lower interest rate.
So I'm going to cut you short. We have less than 1 minute. Again, I'll repeat, if this cuts us off, please log back in with the same ID and the same password, and we can continue this and wrap it up. But in the meantime, I want to say a very big thank you to all our guests. I've learned a lot personally. I mean, some of the things Prodigy Finance may not really talk about because they're considering how it would affect their branding and all that. But I really appreciate the fact that you're spending time to speak from your experience. And it's not something that is foreign. I mean, most of you, if not all of you, traveled out of Nigeria, and you can know where our fears, our concerns, and worries are all about. So thank you very much for your time already. So if you have any question, unmute yourself and just ask the question directly, as short as you can, please.
Hi guys, thank you for this session. So my
Welcome,
question
Abiola.
my question is brief. How is it like working in the US? Company culture versus what you have obtainable in Nigeria, trying to rise to the top and all of that. How is it like? Let me just be brief with that. Thanks.
Okay, so even though that's not the topic for today, but I'll just allow Tolu quickly cover and answer that question before we move to somebody else. So thank you for your question, Abiola.
I think I would say on a general note, it's more like informal, like generally speaking, like even no matter the size of the company, right? Americans are generally like more informal regards to like work culture. It doesn't seem as tilted or formal as Nigeria. But again,
there's no oga. You call them by their first
name. I mean, there's no guy. Even like the relationship, there's I mean, always they're always like happy hours every Friday. I mean, most Fridays, things like that. Like it's a very relaxed work culture. But I think America has a lot of like dynamics that is kind of like tricky to navigate. And as much as you think it's informal, there are things you don't just see at work, like things about like politics, like because you don't know who is on what side of the debate, right? So there are positions you actually like have to avoid. And even like, especially like this old Me Too era, I mean, some of us that are men that we do some kind of like jokes like, nah, you can't, you really can't do that anymore, right? So like, I mean, it's a relaxed culture, but you just have to be cognizant of like racial dynamics, like gender dynamics, political dynamics. But yeah, I mean, regards to rising to the top, I think generally speaking, like if you do your work, there's appreciation for you, but also don't think you don't have to kiss ass. Yeah, you do have to kiss ass. Like, I mean, it's corporations to be honest, they're all the same in varying shapes and forms, right? So yeah, sometimes you do have to kiss ass. But yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, just focus on your work. Do the best you can, and just hope for the best.
Martha, do you have something to say about that?
Yeah, on the kissing part is you just, yeah.
Okay, right on. Sorry, I just find that hilarious. Don't mind
Okay,
me.
yeah. So it is the kissing part is sometimes called networking, but the actual truth is
Yeah,
you have to, and you have to be strategic. Like, stakeholders in places. Do not bypass. Just know how to kiss. Yeah,
So
just know how
basically,
to
what you're saying
form.
is they have emotions, they have sentiments, and you must
Yeah.
know how to be on
So,
the right
like when
side
you
of those sentiments.
mention, yeah, you have to be socially aware, understand stakeholders, understand even not just people above you on like on a horizontal level, know how to network and just do the needful. So you
Can you
don't.
give us an example that you've experienced yourself?
So okay, mine
Let's
will
give
not
you
be.
time to think about that, right?
Okay, so mine is not an actual workplace experience, but I would say it's an interview experience, and it's really changed the game for me in terms of what I got. So mine was, like after an interview, they ask you to send like a thank you to your recruiter and all. I don't know, it was me writing an essay. I literally wrote an essay in a mail, just speaking to things that I can't say. But it's the American way, right? I wrote all this stuff and I sent to like the director of the org I was joining. And after sending that, this was not me sending it to my recruiter. So after my final stage with the director, I sent a message to my director on LinkedIn and talking about how, and really I was excited, but in the Nigerian way, I added salt and pepper. And
Okay.
after I had that, like you normally would hear back after your final round of from an interview, maybe like a day or something. An hour later, my interview called me and told me they have a strong hire for me and I should put other interviews that I have coming on up aside. And I had the opportunity to give a number. You get so.
That's interesting.
This also, I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But yeah, that was my case. And you have to know people and see what works for them. Like when you go into a place and you know that this is the kind of person that likes his ass being kissed, if it doesn't hurt, if it doesn't take anything from you, just do it and move ahead. Right? So
All right. Thank you very
another
much
thing
for
with the
that.
culture here is being appreciative of people, recognizing them. Like people like being noticed, right? So
Yeah.
you want to show that you see them, you recognize them, you recognize their impact, and then even if it doesn't add value to you and all that, but being that kind of person kind of opens some door for you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Any other person with a question? Just unmute yourself, ask as briefly as possible, and we can take your answer.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Ahmed. So yeah, I'd just like to ask a quick one with regards to the Prodigy Finance loan and loans, student loans generally. So I know you advised you should at least have some of your, at least a part of your tuition or maybe your living allowance covered by yourself or your family members. So I'm just saying, in a case where you pretty do not want, or you don't have like savings to cover, or you don't have any family member that wants to put up any amount, or you don't even want to probably ask, and you want it to be fully covered by, say, the scholarship and project finance, how do you go about it? Can you just go ahead to just state that? Yeah, so I just have, so let's say, for example, let's say using numbers, for example, if you're using, say, $70,000 as the total cost,
a little above what you have on your I-20. So let's say you have what you need, the balance you need to show your school for is like, you need to show proof of funding for $70,000, right? And you said you have $10,000 as scholarship, or is that personal fund?
Yeah, a scholarship.
Yeah, so you have 10,000 for scholarship and you need $60,000. It depends. Based on the limit of your school, there's just an estimated maximum that Prodigy is willing to give you. And when you enter your funds, when you enter that into the system, if what you are requesting is beyond that, your application will not go through. But
Okay, so
that was why I said that if that estimated amount is above the minimum that Prodigy is willing to give for your school, your application will be denied. But if it is below that, they most likely would accept your application, approve your application.
So how do you know the minimum that is approved for your school?
Yeah, so I think what is on the platform, I can remember clearly that what is on the platform is the total that is required for your school. But you don't really know what is approved for your school until you submit your application and they deny it. So that was why I said earlier that I've had cases of friends who, because they later got their applications approved when they came up with some sort of additional support from family and friends. So I think when they came up with that support, that made what they were requesting for lower, below the maximum that Prodigy assigned to their school. And that was why the application was accepted, was approved. So you don't really know until you submit your application and they hit you with like a deny, and then you come back with more proof of fund, and then you'll get lucky, it gets approved.
Okay, so but in terms of having that denial and you trying to apply again, as long as you just change maybe what you put in, the amount you put in is fine. So you can reapply several times.
Yeah, it's a new application.
Yeah, like so a duration.
You make a new application.
Okay. Immediately you can.
Yeah, you can, once you know that, oh, you have like this, because these documents are verified, right? You can't just put up like, you ensure that you have the right document to support the amount you put in there as your additional funding. And mind you, that document must have more than what you put in there. So sufficient funding.
Yeah. I'm going to, once again, I'm just trying to be very careful for time. If we have any other question, I think we're getting to that stage where we can ask our guests to drop their email addresses. And if you have any question, you can, if they don't mind, as their permission, you can email it to them or email it to us, and we'll find a way to get it across to them. But before we round up, I just want to quickly allow Feranmi to talk a bit about how she got an internship at Google. I know many people, there's a myth about having to go to top 10 MBA programs or Stanford or Ivy League to work in some of these tech companies. Can you talk about your experience in getting, I know William & Mary is also a great school, but I know it's between top 50, top 40, top 50. And there are times when I've had to speak to people that, come on, you need to consider other schools. They're great. You need to just kind of ignore ranking and understand that these schools are great. But here you are working at Google, even from a top 40, top 50 MBA program, even though that's by ranking. And we do not know, it could be top 10 by quality in some other areas. So do you want to speak about that, Feranmi?
Okay, like Mata said, networking, the importance of networking cannot be like under or overestimated. Like it's very, very important to build your network. So you have opportunities to go for conferences and a lot of MBA conferences, especially in the USA. So if you make yourself available to attend such conferences, this is a platform where you meet with recruiters hands-on, like you meet with them face to face. You have the opportunity to like pitch yourself, and you have the opportunity to like tell them more about you, build your network. Then one very important thing is making sure that you apply on time and reaching out to recruiters. So there are various methods. So when I got here, like I knew that I needed to focus on a lot of things, and one of the things I wanted to focus more on was getting a very good opportunity. And I attended all the conferences available to me, National Black, Prospanica. I reached out to recruiters, but funny enough, I didn't speak with any Google recruiter, like because most of these conferences, a lot of people want to speak with Google, a lot of people want to speak with Apple, Microsoft, LinkedIn, Facebook. Like those people literally don't have interest talking to you. So I just applied. I reached out to a couple of people on LinkedIn, telling them about my interest and passion to work with Google and all. A few people promised to refer me, because like those organizations, they work based on referrals, most of them. But funny enough, nobody referred me before I got my interview opportunity. So once you have this interview opportunity, it's best to prepare extremely hard, because those interviews are like extremely tough. But once you're able to like prepare hard and pitch yourself very well, it's something that is very, very possible. So my Google opportunity, let me just say I was lucky. I didn't get any referral from anybody. I just applied online. I made sure that I put up in my details anytime I went to any of the conferences in their boot camp. Like I ensured that, my CV is in their faces. Then I tailored my resume specifically to the needs of the organization. And I just got called for an interview. That's just it. Yeah.
All right, Feranmi, just to mention, I know there are people listening here. I think there's one person who's going to be your school member very soon. I know he will reach out to you very soon, but please take care of him when he does.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's it. There's one more question I need you to answer. Final question for you before I move back to Tolu and Mata. You talked about other financing options. Someone sent me a message that, could you please talk a bit about those other? You talked about Empower and US loans. Why is Empower not really popular in Nigeria? I don't know, because I hear them, but I once said they don't fund Africans or something. Maybe that's erroneous. Can you talk about this other financing options quickly?
Oh, okay. For Empower, I know like a few people that have gotten loan from Empower, although not Africans. So I have not really come in contact with any African that has gotten Empower, but like I never applied to Empower, so I really don't know much about them. But I know that they do give loans, and they give loans to international students. So it's worth trying to. Then for other financing opportunities, especially in the USA, I know of a friend that got loan with Sallie Mae.
What's that?
Sallie Mae.
Sallie Mae.
Sallie. SALYMAE. That's the name of the financing organization, Sallie Mae. So what?
Can you spell that again?
SALLY.
Okay.
MAE.
MAE.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what she basically did was look for somebody who is at least a permanent resident in the USA to co-sign for her. And within 5 days, she was able to like process the loan. So they're going to like look at the credit profile of that individual, because of course we are just new in the United States. We don't have any credit profile. They're going to take the SSN testing, look at the credit profile, then process the loan. And within 5 days, she was able to like get the loan. And this is after she had entered the USA.
Okay.
She didn't really have to show. Maybe, I don't know how she did her proof of funding to get a visa or to get the I-20 and all of that. But once she got here, she found out that like maybe the available options to her were no longer available. So she needed to like work fast or drop out of school. So she was looking for like available means to fund her education. And she came in contact with somebody who was willing and able to co-sign her loan for her. So she was able to get the person and get the loan.
Thank you very much, Feranmi.
Yeah, I know about Discover too.
How do you spell that?
Discover, like you're discovering something.
Okay, Discover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but the only thing is that you need somebody who is either a US citizen or a permanent resident in the USA to sign for it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any last words before I move to other people?
It's not that bad. It's not as bad as we think it is. It's worth it for me personally. I don't have any regrets making any decision that I have made. Although I've not started repaying. Maybe when I start repaying, I have regrets. But for now, I don't have any regrets. I've done my calculations and I'm like, okay, I'm able. And I kind of like analyze things before, like when I was in Nigeria, and all things being equal after my MBA, and I'm like, okay, it's worth the investment and probably is the best investment I can put on myself. So it's not that
compared
bad.
To the other option of staying back in Nigeria.
Yeah, so it's not totally bad. It's worth in a trial, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mata.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any last words from you? I mean, could you just quickly talk about I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate here. You guys have done a great job of talking about both the good side and the challenges that you should be well aware of. So thank you for that. There's a question I want to rephrase. I know we said the loans are, who would you not advise to take the loan, considering any other factor? And then you can just round up with your last words.
Okay, so that was even going to be my last words. And it's not because I'm scared or worried or anything, but most importantly, if you can do without it, please try as much as possible to do without it. So I think, was it Tolu who mentioned the whole thing with school ranking and all that? Trust me, I know top school gives us the opportunity of networks, right, that we can take advantage of. But then again, you can be in a school that have a network and then you don't even know how to take advantage of that network. And someone in like a T40 or T50 who knows how to use resource out there like LinkedIn or other networks out there, like Feranmi just mentioned, would get those opportunities that those who have the network, access to those network can get into. So when you look at putting in the hard work, if you like get funded in like a non-T10 or top ranked school, when you look at putting in the hard work, assess yourself and see, okay, I've assessed myself and I can put in the hard work to get into these places I desire to get to, then it's best to go with that opportunity that provides you more funding and knowing that, okay, the ball is in your court to put in the hard work to get into those places, because there are people that get into those places. You don't have to be from a certain school to work in certain companies here. Granted, most of these companies have preferences and all that, but if you can put in the work and go out there and try to network conferences and all that, then you can get in there. And then on conferences and network and all that, I know we are all Blacks, and as much as most of us don't like to be identified as diversity hires, there are a lot of opportunity for diversity and inclusion. So she mentioned going to a conference and everyone is trying to get the attention of these big companies and all that. And in those conferences, they are a little biased to those highly ranked schools. So look out for niche conferences for diversity hire, like NS whatever. I know NSB for engineers and all, but anything that has to do with, okay, this is for Blacks and all that, go to those conferences, look at the companies that are coming in there. And then if you go on LinkedIn also, you see some recruiters who explicitly hire for diversity. You can reach out to those people, pitch yourself right. You reach out to those people. Diversity hire doesn't mean the bar is lowered for you. They are still after hiring the best of the best. But how you present yourself there, you pitch yourself, present your profile, gives you a better opportunity. And one thing with the US is you have to do work early. You have to start work early, because when you get in here, you become overwhelmed with academic work, and then you see 1,000 things you have to work with, and it's just so hard. Like, you have your assistantship, if you have a scholarship and all that, you can't really make use of all these resources at a time. So the earlier you start putting in the work, highlighting this opportunity, the better for you, so that when you come here, you already have a focus of where you are going to, your target companies, and
believe me, you pass. You do well in your classes. Like that is just it. So it's actually focusing on finding the internships, coming up with like a list of companies, actually doing the networking and all that. It really, and the funny thing about those things is like some of them might not even be things that will pay off immediately. Like I have contacts and people that I reach out to in companies that, I mean, I might not ever join those companies, but like I have contacts that I can reach out to for like different things for like different opportunities. So build your connections. The academics, like you'll be fine, really. Like I tell people, once you're admitted to an MBA program, you'll be fine. Like don't worry about the schoolwork. I mean, yeah, like it's funny because even when getting there, you see people that tell you, leave schoolwork. As an international student, focus on finding the job. That is really, really very important. And regards to the other things, yeah, just yeah, it's not easy, to be honest. Like it's a grind. Like there are days you'll be like, what is all this? But yeah, you just have to keep pushing, keep at it, and eventually.
Tolu, before I let you go,
Sure.
just say one thing about COVID-19 and how it would impact those who are currently taking on loans. I know you talked a bit about it, but I think I quickly switched to some other areas. Could you just have the last say on that and let us know what are you of the trend and the impact of this?
Okay, so from an economic standpoint, like right now, I mean, so many people are losing jobs. America is seeing record number of people going to unemployment. The Fed says unemployment numbers might reach 30%, and that is crazy because at the beginning of this year it was 3%. So yeah, like the economy right now is crazy. I have friends in business schools right now that they have not gotten their internships, and right now a lot of companies, I think even Google, based, I don't know, someone was telling me that even Google has, like, if you don't have an internship with Google by now, they are not taking any more interns. Like companies are like re-evaluating a lot of like hiring and things like that. So yes, like for now, but again, the truth about COVID is it's not going to last forever, right? So in the next few months, things will definitely pick up. So I'll tell you someone right now, I actually think this is the best time to actually go to school, because if you go to school now, it is sure that by the time you come out, the economy would have rebounded. And the way the US works is like when the economy is coming out, like when the economy is doing like it's rebound, yes, like that's like the best opportunity to come out there and look for jobs, because there'll be so many people actually wanting to employ people. So like right now, by all means, like don't be too worried. For people going to school now, don't be too worried about COVID, right? Like you will be fine. Like it's people that are actually in the market now. Actually, because I mean, I have a couple of friends that were laid off. I mean, not MBA people, but like a couple of people that I know that were laid off from there. Even like my current landlord, his girlfriend she lost her job in this whole COVID thing. But I mean, if you go to school now in the next 2 years, you come out, you'll be fine. So I really don't think you guys should worry too much about that. Yeah, but again, it's a grind. You have to network, reach out to so many people, present the best version of yourself, do the hard work, and yeah, we'll be fine. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you guys will be fine.
And to add to that, this is a good opportunity to ask for more scholarships. You know, a lot of people would be considering not coming to school. So if you have the admission already, you can use this opportunity to ask for more scholarship. Oh, I need more funding. My funding fell out, or the exchange rate is excessively.
Oh, that's interesting. That's true. Right? That's true. Because you can talk about how COVID has impacted the economy, and what you were hoping to get was no longer going to come around.
And a lot of students will be reconsidering not coming to school at this time. So a lot of schools want to fill up their MBA program. they would have to look for more funding for people. So ask for more.
Yes,
Yeah.
ask. Just ask. Just ask. Ask.
That's true. That's true. I mean, the offer I have right now, which is the best I got from all other schools, was because I asked. It's as simple as asking. Sometimes they try to test you. It's negotiation. It's a business school. Imagine it's a business school. They're a business. So they're going to the table, and if you accept it, then good for them. They have to channel the money somewhere else, and they get you to bring more money into the system. So like they said, ask. I want to say a very big thank you to you guys. I mean, you don't know how excited I am that you guys are coming in and sharing this experience. I want to say thank you to you. Please, your contact emails, if you don't mind, how do we get to reach you guys? Feranmi,
Amarachi has my email. So
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tolu,
Amarachi has my
just,
email. I just typed. I actually just typed it on the chat as well for anybody.
They're actually guests, people who are not part of our network yet, but we made it available to them to attend. So if you don't mind putting it in the chat box.
Yeah, I just did. So
okay, Tolu, thank you very much for that. I can see that. Marta, if you don't mind, and Feranmi, if you don't mind. But if you still think okay, thanks.
I can't promise I'll get back to you immediately, but I'll definitely get back to you as like in a day or two latest.
Yes, please, guys. When we're emailing them, understand that they have schoolwork. They still have work to do. So be patient with them, and if they don't respond, please don't get angry, please.
I'll get back to you. Definitely.
Okay. That said, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody. This is Lane once again, and what we are doing is, what I personally discovered is, many times we are MBA learners and we just leave the system without help. And there's so much information that we're getting right now that would not have been possible without network. So Lane, what we do, we're basically trying to leverage communities or people who are going into MBAs, those who have been in MBA programs, to help Africans get into more MBA programs, to help them achieve their dreams. And after that, we hope to stay very close to them and ensuring that they're making the best use of the opportunities the program affords them. The whole idea is, the more people who can get into MBA programs and can maximize the opportunity it offers, the better it is for Africa as a whole. And in the long term, we'll still come back, reinvest, and try to change both the economical and political system that is currently at issue in the continent. So if you'd like to be a part of Lane, I have your emails. Abdul Karim, please just shoot me. I'm going to try and send an email to everyone that I already have. But if you did not register through the link, please, my email is made available. And if you don't get an email anytime soon, just shoot me an email that you'd like to be a part of the network, and we'll take it off from there. That said, I want to say a very big thank you to Feranmi. My name is Samuel Adiri once again. Thank you, Feranmi. Thank you, Marta. And thank you, Tolu. I wish you guys all the best. And may you guys just succeed even in a very difficult and unprecedented time like this. So thank you, guys. And thank you, everyone, for coming. Do have a great evening, or do have a great day.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, take care.
Thank you, Samuel.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Great.
Bye.